In a move that threatens to further strain economic relations between the United States and China, President Donald Trump has announced plans to impose an additional 10% tariff on all imports from China. This measure would build upon the existing tariffs established during his first term, which were aimed at addressing what the U.S. perceives as challenges in its trade relationship with China. If you are new to our channel, please remember to leave a like as well as a sub so you never miss another video. The proposed tariffs would encompass a wide range of products, including consumer electronics, machinery, textiles, and other critical imports that play a significant role in U.S.-China trade. These actions are positioned as part of a broader U.S. strategy to address economic and strategic concerns, including trade imbalances and supply chain vulnerabilities. The U.S. government has long expressed concerns about the trade deficit with China, which exceeded $300 billion in 2023. The Trump administration views this as a structural challenge, believing it reflects uneven trade dynamics that may disadvantage U.S. industries. Additionally, U.S. officials have emphasized the importance of fostering a level playing field for businesses, arguing that China's domestic policies, including state support for key industries, have created competitive challenges for American companies in the global market. The proposed tariffs aim to encourage domestic production and reduce reliance on imported goods. The U.S. sees reducing dependence on imported goods, particularly in critical sectors such as technology and infrastructure, as essential for economic resilience and national security. Officials have highlighted the need to diversify supply chains and prioritize domestic manufacturing as a safeguard against potential vulnerabilities. Tariffs are seen as one component of a larger strategy to secure supply chains and ensure that critical industries are less exposed to external risks. During Donald Trump's first administration, a trade war with China resulted in a sharp decline in American agricultural exports, particularly soybeans. Exports to China, the world's largest soybean importer, fell by 79% in the first 2 years, causing an $11 billion loss for American soybean farmers. Although financial aid to farmers mitigated some immediate effects, the structural damage to market relationships was profound. In response to the trade disputes, China has diversified its import sources, turning primarily to Brazil, which has since emerged as a dominant player in the global soybean market. Brazil's rapid expansion of soybean acreage, combined with infrastructural improvements, allowed it to fill the gap left by U.S. exporters. The shift also encouraged China to diversify its supply chains for other crops, reducing its reliance on the U.S. for corn, wheat, sorghum, and cotton. The potential reintroduction of tariffs under similar policy frameworks threatens to exacerbate these existing challenges. China, once heavily reliant on U.S. soybean imports, has established Brazil as its primary supplier over the years. Brazil has aggressively increased its soybean acreage, clearing significant portions of land to meet growing demand, and is set to dominate this market. In addition to diversifying its supply chain, China has built record stockpiles of soybeans, granting it greater independence from U.S. agricultural exports. The low global prices of soybeans have squeezed profit margins for American farmers. Although domestic soybean demand has grown, it is insufficient to offset the significant export losses caused by trade disputes. Tariffs will likely exacerbate this, forcing many smaller-scale farmers to consider alternative crops or risk financial insolvency. Similar dynamics have played out in the corn and wheat markets. In recent years, China has approved corn imports from Brazil in 2022 and Argentina in 2023, signaling its intent to diversify away from U.S. dependence. Argentina's authorization marked the first major corn and wheat shipments in decades, reducing China's reliance on American grains. Brazil's growing corn exports have capitalized on this shift, particularly as Chinese feed mills now see Brazilian corn as a viable and competitive alternative. U.S. corn exports to China, which had been reaching record levels, are now at risk of significant declines. Wheat faces similar challenges, with U.S. exports becoming less competitive as South American suppliers grow their presence in China. For many American farmers who rely on exports to stabilize prices and clear surpluses, these changes could lead to unsold inventories, lower prices, and reduced income. The U.S. sorghum producers have historically depended on China, the largest consumer of the grain, which uses it for livestock feed and in the production of the liquor baijiu. Over 70% of U.S. sorghum exports go to China annually. However, Brazil's emergence as a sorghum producer, with an output of 4.6 million tons, is reshaping this dynamic. While Brazil has not traditionally exported significant amounts of sorghum, its growing production capacity is already pressuring U.S. market share. If tariffs are reimposed, China is likely to accelerate its pivot to Brazilian sorghum, further reducing U.S. exports. This will disproportionately affect sorghum growers who have few alternative markets capable of absorbing the large quantities that currently go to China. In the pork market, China has been a robust market for U.S. pork. However, changing dietary habits in China are reducing overall pork consumption, as Chinese consumers increasingly favor proteins like poultry, beef, and seafood. Even without a trade war, this shift poses a long-term challenge to U.S. pork exporters. In recent years, China has expanded pork imports from Brazil, leveraging its cost-competitive production. As tariffs push Chinese buyers further away from U.S. pork, Brazil stands ready to fill the gap, intensifying competition for American producers. The global cotton trade has also undergone significant shifts since the 2018 trade war. China has bolstered its cotton reserves and increased domestic production. Additionally, Brazil and Australia have expanded their market share in China, with Brazil overtaking the U.S. as the top cotton exporter in 2023 to 2024. While U.S. cotton remains highly sought after for its quality, the added costs from tariffs make American cotton less competitive in price-sensitive markets. A weaker Chinese economy and declining demand for textiles further exacerbate the problem, creating a challenging environment for U.S. exporters. China has effectively used its participation in the Brics coalition, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, to diversify its sources of critical imports. Partnerships with Russia and Brazil have secured stable supplies of oil, gas, and other resources, reducing China's reliance on traditional suppliers in North America and the Middle East. Similarly, China has turned to Brazil and South Africa for agricultural imports, including soybeans and meat, ensuring food security and mitigating the risks of supply disruptions from other countries. By strengthening trade ties within the Brics framework, China has opened up new markets for its exports. The country has focused on infrastructure projects and technology exports in Brics nations, enabling it to tap into rapidly growing economies. Additionally, Chinese manufacturers have expanded their customer base for goods such as electronics and machinery, effectively offsetting reduced demand from the U.S. due to tariffs. These export relationships have bolstered China's manufacturing sector and provided steady economic growth opportunities, mitigating the impact of tariffs and sanctions. The imposition of U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods initially posed challenges, but China has successfully mitigated their effects through trade realignment. Brics partnerships have allowed China to redirect its trade flows, replacing lost markets in North America with increased activity in partner nations. These alliances have also enhanced China's supply chain resilience by reducing its dependence on single sources for critical inputs. Rather than hindering progress, U.S. tariffs and sanctions have prompted China to strengthen its economic relationships with Brics partners, fostering a more resilient and diversified economy. By leveraging its position within the Brics framework, China has not only maintained but also enhanced its economic trajectory, ensuring continued growth even in the face of restrictive trade measures. These efforts have solidified China's role as a global economic powerhouse. The imposition of tariffs by the U.S. has far-reaching effects that extend beyond the agricultural sector, impacting the broader economy. These policies influence input costs, export competitiveness, and the realignment of global markets, with significant consequences for both domestic and international trade dynamics. Tariffs on imported goods such as steel and aluminum directly impact the agricultural sector by increasing the costs of essential inputs like machinery and equipment. The trade conflict between the U.S. and China initiated in 2018 led to tariffs on these materials, resulting in higher prices for agricultural equipment manufacturers, which were subsequently passed on to farmers, raising overall production expenses. Retaliatory tariffs imposed by key trading partners have also diminished the competitiveness of U.S. agricultural commodities, including corn, wheat, and sorghum. A study by the U.S. Department of Agriculture found that retaliatory tariffs reduced U.S. agricultural exports by $27 billion from mid-2018 to the end of 2019, with soybeans accounting for 71% of this decline, followed by sorghum and pork at 7% and 5% respectively. These tariffs incentivize importers to source commodities from alternative suppliers like Brazil and Argentina, which can offer similar products without the added costs associated with tariffs. The imposition of tariffs has prompted a realignment in global agricultural trade flows, with countries such as Brazil, Argentina, and Australia expanding their agricultural sectors to fill the void left by reduced U.S. exports. China's pivot away from U.S. agricultural imports since 2018 has bolstered its food security against potential trade tensions, as it has increased imports of grains from Brazil, Argentina, Ukraine, and Australia, significantly decreasing the U.S.'s share in China's soybean and corn imports. This shift not only diminishes the U.S.'s role as a leading exporter but also strengthens the market positions of these alternative suppliers. The United States' imposition of tariffs on countries beyond China, such as Canada, Mexico, and European Union member states, has significant repercussions for the U.S. economy. These tariffs can lead to increased consumer prices, disruptions in supply chains, and retaliatory measures that collectively hinder economic growth. Tariffs function as taxes on imported goods, and the additional costs are often transferred to consumers through higher prices. Estimates suggest that the proposed tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China could raise U.S. consumer prices by 0.75%, resulting in over $1,000 in lost purchasing power per household. Furthermore, the U.S. economy is deeply integrated with global supply chains, particularly with neighboring countries like Canada and Mexico. Tariffs on imports from these nations can disrupt established supply networks, leading to inefficiencies and increased production costs for U.S. businesses. For example, the automotive industry's reliance on parts manufactured across North America could result in higher production costs, potentially adding around $3,000 to the price of a new car. Tariffs often provoke retaliatory actions from affected countries, which can further harm the U.S. economy. In response to U.S. tariffs, Canada and Mexico might impose their own tariffs on American exports, adversely affecting U.S. industries such as agriculture and manufacturing. This tit-for-tat escalation can lead to a trade war, reducing the competitiveness of U.S. products abroad and leading to job losses in key sectors. Analyses indicate that if Canada and Mexico retaliate with similar tariffs, U.S. economic growth could decline by at least 0.3% by 2026, with a simultaneous rise in inflation by 0.5% in 2025. Tariffs contribute to higher inflation by increasing the cost of imported goods, which can lead to broader price increases across the economy. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has expressed concerns that sweeping tariffs could derail progress in reducing inflation and raise costs for households and businesses. Additionally, higher consumer prices can dampen spending, leading to slower economic growth. Analysts have warned that the proposed tariffs could erode the EU's GDP by up to 1.5% or about €260 billion, which would also have adverse effects on the U.S. economy due to interconnected trade relationships. The imposition of tariffs poses significant risks to the U.S. economy, particularly the agricultural sector. The loss of Chinese market share, combined with the aggressive expansion of competitors like Brazil, underscores the challenges American farmers face in a globalized market. Strategic policy interventions, coupled with adaptive farming practices, will be essential to mitigate these adverse effects and ensure the long-term sustainability of U.S. agriculture. The lessons of the first trade war highlight the importance of fostering stable and predictable trade relationships to maintain the U.S.'s status as a global agricultural leader. Navigating the complex geopolitical landscape while safeguarding the interests of American farmers and businesses will require a nuanced and comprehensive approach, balancing economic considerations with strategic priorities. As the U.S. confronts these challenges, the resilience and adaptability of its agricultural sector will be tested, with long-lasting implications for the country's economic standing and global influence. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like as well as a sub so more people can see this.